And foremost, we have one episode left. Okay, that's like the first thing that I definitely want to talk about. But before I actually, that is the first thing I want to talk about, but I'm not actually going to talk about it. I wonder how they're going to end this season. Is basically kind of the nutshell of that conversation. But let me pose some questions to you guys about this. Okay, me initially, right? When it came to the whole Charl stuff, right? Like, I think maybe 5 or 6 episodes back, I had mentioned like, oh, he's kind of building out his harem. You know, he's building out everything. You know, Charlotte's gonna be a part of that harem as well too. And you know, initially I was like, well, I don't actually think she will. I think that they do have more of a platonic, brother, sister, sibling love, And it seemed to be that everybody in the comments kind of agreed with that. Like, oh, there's some boundaries, like some, but regardless, like that's his little sister. He loves her like his little sister. Well, in the most recent episodes, right, she's made it apparent that she's cool with being a part of his harem. She just needs to be like number 2 or number 1, or she needs to be some number. I forget exactly what it was, but she basically needs to be like, she's in there. Like she's solidified her spot. And it was mentioned that Hart was like, oh, this must be that sister thing. Eventually she's gonna be like, you're gross kind of thing. Like the little thing of like, when you're younger, you want to marry your dad or you want to marry your family member, whatever, because you don't understand the concept of all of that. And, over time you learn like, yeah, this is forbidden, bro. And he's like, oh, I'm just gonna enjoy this now. But then this episode, with her kind of demanding the love in a way, it got me to thinking more and more like, okay, well, maybe, this isn't the platonic sibling thing. Maybe this is, at least on one side of the coin, Charl might be very serious about being part of the harem in a non-sibling type way. And I'm just like, man, if that is true, which I don't think we're never going to know that. And the reason we're never going to know that is because we only have one episode left. And I don't think that this show is actually approved for a season 2, or at least there has been no news of it yet. But I mean, we can validate that together here. So let's go. Am I Actually the Strongest season 2? And there has been there's no release date. There's no new news for this whatsoever. So there's nothing that's been released about this getting a season 2. So there's a chance that like we'll never really know where this is actually heading, unless you're familiar with the source material. And if that's true, episode 12, come tell us, come tell us the juicy details. But that's kind of where I have the problem is like, we're heading towards a direction that we're never going to get to simply because like the show's ending. Then we also have, outside of that, we have them, introducing the different characters. We're finally in school. We actually have some movement happening now in school. Hart, this episode was offered the virginity. Like, okay, he was offered the big dogs. This episode, but again, where's that going to lead to next episode? Not really much places, We found out that Lisette, or whatever her name is, the Leash or Lizo or whatever, she's the reincarnation of the Demon King. Where's that really going to lead in one episode again? You know what I mean? This episode, we found out that Charl, when she made up, hey, there's an evil organization at school, because she was watching a lot of anime, we find out that the blonde dude that he embarrassed last episode, totally part of evil organization. So, I mean, that's really cool, but where's that going to lead with one episode? You know what I mean? And I think that's where my biggest frustration right now is I'm not mad at this episode. I think this episode is pretty good. It was really enjoyable. The first part of the episode was definitely better than the last half. I don't like the whole professor stuff and the whole him getting from class C to class A, and them going deeper into the evil organization, I could really care less about that. I think the first part of the episode was more funny with Charl dictating his classes and her not letting him go, and then meeting with the demon lord and her meeting 𝐒𝐻𝐧𝐬𝐭 and seeing like, and they're both like, I don't know. I think all of that was much better than the second half, but I can understand why someone might like the second half better, right? Overall, though, I have no issues with this episode. This episode was pretty good. My issue overall, holistically, becomes we have one episode left, and that one episode could very well be the last episode we ever get for a show that I've genuinely really enjoyed. And another thing that I want to make sure because I thought about this earlier and I want to make sure I get this out, is this episode, somebody's appreciation or whether they like it or not is dictated based on how they think of Charl, because Charl was interwoven in all of these episodes, right? Like she's basically the wise owl or whatever, and she basically has been pushing all the stuff that Hart's been teaching her. She's been kind of submitting to like the magic organization and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. And he's like, she kept coming over and over and over. She kept coming up in different variations throughout the episode. So again, I know some of you aren't Charlotte fans, so depending on that could, your opinion could vary based on how much you like or dislike Charl. But with that being said, though, I think, again, going back to 2 minutes ago, my main frustration definitely is, we have one episode left, and that episode may very well be the last episode we ever get for this show. And it's sad because this show is really, really good, and I've really enjoyed it. And I haven't partaken in the dub yet, but I've heard that it's really, really good. So I do plan, once this is finished, to actually go back and watch the dub. Right now, there are 8 out of 11 episodes that they have dubbed. So once the season's over, this is one of those ones that I will end up going back and watching once it gets fully dubbed, right? Like some of the animes on my list to go back and rewatch again a little later this year, probably with the wife because she hasn't watched all of these anime with me, is like Misfit of Demon King, Am I Actually the Strongest, The Dangers in My Heart. Those are just like a couple of the ones that, the Horimiya, and I need to go and finish Horimiya. I need to finish Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, Jujutsu Kaisen's, being dubbed. I know that was like a 24 episode season. Devil's a Part-Timer, Part 2, you know what I mean? Like that one I need to go in and finish. I hated Reign of the Seven Spellblades, but eventually, once that finishes getting dubbed, I'll circle back. Same thing with Vending Machine. I'll end up circling back on that one too. I think I was watching another one too there was another. I was watching Sacrificial Princess. I need to circle back on that one. And then there was one that I was waiting for that everyone's been raving about this season that just wasn't on my list before, but I'm definitely gonna watch it, which is that 𝐜𝐴𝐚 100 anime. So there's a few, once they get dubbed that I think are definitely worth the watch. And this one's definitely up there. But again, disappointment level, pretty high because we have one episode left. So anyways, those are all my thoughts, guys. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about this episode overall and the fact that we have one episode left. All right, my friends, from me to you, peace out.